Hey everyone. Started thinking that people might be trying to learn how to play video poker um, when they haven't yet quite figured out poker. Okay? So, great time to get started. Let's learn about poker hands. Okay. So, very first is the suits. Okay. So, this suit is called the spades. Okay. So, spade. These are hearts. These are clubs. And these are diamonds. Now, there's nothing particularly special about them. It's not like the hearts beats the clubs or the diamonds can beat the spades. These is just the name of the suits so we can identify them. And you'll be, sometimes we'll make reference to the suits in the hands of poker. Next is the high card. Or what should I say? The next is the value of the cards. So obviously, we would start with 1, though A is a little special here. Okay, so we're going to start with the value of the cards. So A here is a little special. It actually can be more than one value, but right now we'll say this is 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. Okay, till we get to the face cards. So the J is 11, the queen, the jack, the jack is 11. The Q, the queen, is 12, and the K, the king, is 13. Now, there are times where the ace can be valued at 14. If you ever played blackjack, it's very similar to that, where A can be 1 or 11. In poker, A could be 1 or 14. So, in terms of the cards themselves, the higher the value, can beat a lower value card. So let's just say we were to have something like this. Okay, so this hand here is, well, nothing. We don't have anything here that we can win with, okay, in terms of poker. Well, in that case, we would take the highest valued card in your hand, right? Because hands are made up of 5 cards. Though, there are games that play with 7 cards and 9 cards. You're making a hand with 5 of those cards, however many you're given. Okay, so in this particular hand here of 5 cards, the highest value card is the queen, the Q. So that's what we would call a high card, right? So if I had this hand and my opponent had something like this, okay, so they had this hand here, their high card would be the jack. Okay, well, you would beat them, right, because your highest card is the queen, and the queen beats the jack. Okay, so that would be high card. The next ranking hand, so that's the lowest ranking hand, is a high card. The next ranking hand would be a pair. Okay, so we will stick here with the queen, right? Let's say you were playing somebody else, and they had this. Okay, so now they have a pair, right? Which means some number is matching with some other number there, right? So here I have 3 and 3, so that would be a pair, right? If I could have a pair of 8, so it'd be an 8 and an 8, pair of 2s, 2 and a 2, pair of 4 would be a 4 and a 4. So in this case, I have a pair of 3s. Well, a pair beats a high card. So if somebody else you were playing with had this hand, they would beat this one here. even though the queen is worth 12, right? And that seems like that's a lot. It no longer matters. The pair always beats a high card. All right, so now let's keep with the pair. All right, that one won out last time. Well, what beats the pair? Two pairs beat a pair. So we have here. Oh, right. Let's go with this one. All right, well, this hand here has a pair of nines and a pair of fours. So two pairs beats one pair. Okay. Any two pairs would beat any one pair. So even if this was a one pair of kings, one pair of aces, they would still beat out because it's two pairs. Right. So let's hold on to the two pairs and see what beats out. So here we have an example of something that would beat two pairs. This is called three of a kind. That's when you have three cards of the exact same number or value. Okay, so in this case, I have three threes. That's my three of a kind. And that's going to beat this hand here that has two pairs. Now, we have already discussed the pair hand and the high card. So the three of a kind beats also the pair and the high card, right? So far, this is the highest ranking hand that we've seen so far. So it beats every other lower hand that we've seen. So this also beats the pair. Okay, also beats this hand here. I think now it would be important to mention that the ranking of the cards themselves, the value of those cards, always comes into play. So here we have another three of a kind. We have three fours now. This would now beat this one. It doesn't tie. They have the exact same hand. Sure, they both have three of a kind. However, this one has a greater value. That three of a kind has a greater value than this three of a kind. Therefore, this hand here beats this hand there. That's the same thing with the pairs and the high card. Okay, now we're on to the straight. A straight is numbers in sequential order. You don't necessarily have to place your hand in sequential order. In fact, if you're playing poker, you may not want to be moving your cards around and give away the idea to your opponents that you may have a straight. Okay, but in your head, right, when you place the cards, everybody will be able to see the order you put the numbers in. And so they need to be in sequential order. Okay, in my example here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, ace would in this case count as 1. And that beats a three of a kind. Now, same as before, the value of that straight can be beaten by another straight with a greater value. Here would be an example of that, right? Again, I have a straight, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? That has a greater value than this straight here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Here, 7 is the highest value card in my straight, but here, the highest value card in my straight is a 5. It doesn't matter that A is there, right? A is sometimes the highest value, but in this case, it's being used as a 1 in this straight. So its value is 1, not 14. So this hand here will now beat this hand there. Okay, on to the next ranking. This is what we refer to as a flush. Now we're going back to that reference in terms of the suits. Notice they all have the same suit. In this case, they all have hearts. So you need a hand of 5 cards with all of them being the same suit. That beats a straight. Now, if you notice, the order here is odd out of place, right? It's not in sequential order. That's different. They do not need to be in sequential order for it to count as a flush. The only requirement is that all 5 cards have the same suit. But just like before, if I have another flush here and they had a higher value card in it versus the flush I have here, well, then the flush with the highest value card would beat the flush with a lower value card. So in this case here, this flush beats this straight. Okay, moving on to the next highest ranking hand. This is called a full house. Now in the full house, if you notice, it's a combination of a 3 of a kind and a pair. So any full house would beat any flush. Okay? It's only when you have 2 full houses that you now need to take into account the value of the cards. But in this case, this hand would beat this one now. The next ranking hand would be 4 of a kind. It's made up of 4 cards with the exact same value. So 4 of a kind beats a full house. The next highest ranking hand would be what we call a straight flush. As you can see, it is a combination of the flush and the straight, where the flush, they all have the exact same suit, and the straight, they are in sequential order. In this case, they are all clubs, and my order is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, you do not need to place them in sequential order when showing your hand. But a straight flush will beat out a 4 of a kind. And any other lower ranking hand, the 3 of a kind, the full house, the pair, and the high card. Now on to the final ranking hand. This is called a royal flush. It is not only a flush where they have all the same suits, but it is comprised of the highest valued cards in the deck, which is the ace, now playing the 14 in this case, the king, 13, the queen, 12, the jack, 11, and the 10. So the royal flush would now beat out a straight flush, a 4 of a kind, a 3 of a kind, a full house, every other hand. This is the pinnacle of the poker hand. Okay, so let's review. Here I've placed the cards in order. Go ahead and try to identify them and any key features that you remember about each of these hands and which hand beats what hand. You might want to go ahead and pause the video, and then I'll go over each of the hands. I think my phone is moving here. 1 second, there we go. Okay, so let's go over them now. Here we have the high card, right? That's when it's your lowest ranking hand. You basically have nothing else, and we're basing it off of your highest card. In this case, the highest card is the ace. Okay. Here is a pair. Pair is when you have one number matching another one, right? One value card matching the other one. That gives you a pair. In this case, I have a pair of 4s. Okay, so a pair beats the high card. The next ranking hand would be 2 pairs. So you have, in this case, a pair of 4s and a pair of 9s. So the 2 pairs beats a pair, which also beats the high card. Over here, we have 3 of a kind. 3 of a kind is when we have 3 matching cards, right? With, well, the matching value of those cards. 3 of a kind beats a 2 pair, beats a pair, and beats the high card. Then we have a straight. A straight is made up of numbers in sequential order. Okay. Again, you don't have to place these cards in any particular order. I just placed them for your convenience. In this case, my sequential order is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so again, a straight would be 3 of a kind, which beats a 2 pair, a pair, and a high card. Then we have the flush. The flush simply needs to have 5 cards of the exact same suit. They do not need to be in any sequential order. In fact, that would be another hand if they were. Okay, so a flush just have 5 cards of the same suit, which beats a straight, which beats 3 of a kind, which beats 2 pairs, a pair, and the high card. Here we have the full house. Full house is made up of combination of 3 of a kind and a pair. So the full house beats the flush, the straight, 3 of a kind, 2 pair, pair, and high card. This is 4 of a kind. 4 of a kind beats the flush, the straight, beats the 4 of a kind beats the full house, the flush, the straight, the 3 of a kind, 2 pair, pair, and high card. The straight flush has to be in sequential order, and they are the exact same suit. Okay, so this is our straight flush, and our straight flush beats our 4 of a kind, our full house, our flush, our straight, our 3 of a kind, our 2 pair, pair, and high card. And finally, we have the royal flush. The royal flush beats all of these hands. And there we go. Now, the next section, we will practice seeing if you know which hand beats what hand and the name as well. Okay, so now let's practice. I went ahead and shuffled the deck. It's called a deck of cards. Okay, I shuffled them, and I'm going to deal out 5 cards to these 4 pretend players. And we'll see if you can spot the name, if you know the name of the hand that they have. And now let's step it up and see if you can tell which of these 4 players would win in a game of poker. Okay, so here we go. So here are our 4 players. Take some time to look at the cards, see what they have or what they could be having, what hand they're close to getting, and see which of these 4 would win. Okay, let's take a look at player A. Player A is very close to having a straight, right? 2, 3, 4, we're missing the 5, and then he could have a 6, right? Or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And in particular case, he could have had a straight, but they don't have a straight right now. So in this case, this player only has a high card of 7. In this hand here, this player almost has a flush, right? All they're missing is another diamond, okay? Well, they don't have another diamond, so in this case, they also have a high card, but in their high card, it would be an ace. Here, this player doesn't have, almost has a straight as well, right? We have an 8, 9, 10, 11. If this was a 12, we would have a straight there, but he doesn't have a straight either. So in this particular case, this person's high card would just be the jack. Again here, this person doesn't have anything as well. So in this case, the king would be their high card. Okay, so out of these four players, the one that would win would be player B. Player B has the highest value card, the ace. Okay, so once again, I've shuffled the cards, I've shuffled the deck, and we'll once again go with the 5 cards. However, this time we'll now add a game element to this. It's a game called 5-card draw. In 5-card draw, you're given 5 cards, and you're allowed to try to improve your hand. Okay, so you're going to have to give up some of your cards to try to create a better hand if you don't already have one. So here we go. Okay, now first I want to mention that this is not how 5-card draw poker is dealt out or played. We're only adding one element of that particular game in which you get to improve your hand by giving up certain cards in your hand. Okay, so this person here, right, if we take a look, you might want to pause it. This person here might want to go for trying to get a pair, 2 pairs maybe, a pair of jacks, a pair of queens, maybe a 3 of a kind, or they can try to go for a straight, right? 6, 7. We're missing an 8 and we're missing a 10, right? So in this case, I guess they can't go for the straight because they may not, they might need to give up more cards. So I suppose we could give up these 2 cards and hope to try to get a 10 and maybe a K. All right. But let's see. I would say maybe this player here likes these higher cards. So they're going to give up 3 of their cards and try to get a jack or a queen. Well, there we go. Okay. So take a look at here and think of what particular hand this person has. Okay, so this person has 3 of a kind. All right, moving on to the next player then. The next player, again, has also these 3 really high cards, right? It has the ace, the queen, and the jack. Maybe they want to go for a straight, right? Maybe we can get a king here and a 10 there. Or a 10 here and a K there, giving up these 2. So let's go ahead and give up these 2 cards here and see what they get. Okay, so in this case they don't have anything, so they would go with a high card, right? That's their best hand, is the high card, in this case the ace. This person here already has a pair. Okay. They might want to risk it for a straight, but in this case, they already have a pair. Maybe they might want to go then for a 3 of a kind, a 4 of a kind, or yeah, that would probably be a good bet, right? Let's go with that. Let's say they give up. They're not gonna go. They're not gonna bother with a straight, right? The 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? They're not gonna try to make a straight here because they already have a pair. So they'll give up these 3 cards and see what they get now. Okay, so as you can see here, they only have a straight. Same thing here. Only has a pair. They only have a pair of 3s. All right, let's take a look at this card here. This player here has a pair of A's. Maybe they feel really good about it. Maybe in the game of poker, they want to intimidate the other players and not give up any cards. Whatever it may be, they're gonna choose not to trade in any cards. So here we go. So now, which of these players would win the game? Okay. Hopefully you said A, player A would win the game because they have three of a kind, which beats the high card, which beats the pair of A's, and it beats the pair of threes. Okay, I think we'll try this one more time. This time we'll add another game element to this. I shuffled the deck again, and this time we're going to add the game element of community cards. Okay. Now, in community cards, there's several versions of poker that use this mechanic, where you're given a limited number of cards for yourself to use, but then you have a pool of cards, usually somewhere in the center, that you're allowed to use to create a hand of 5 cards. Okay, particular styles of this game would be Omaha, Texas Holdem, and Omaha and Texas Holdem. There you go. There might be others, that use this particular poker mechanic. Okay, so here we go. So I'm gonna again deal out the cards. Okay, so in this case, each player is given 2 cards. Okay, and then there's going to be a community of 5 cards that they can use in the middle to create their own hand of 5 cards. Okay, so now, again, this is not how the game is dealt. This is not a tutorial on how to play a particular form of poker. We're just trying to practice the idea of the situations in which you will be creating your poker hands and what kind of hands you have. Okay, so go ahead and pause this. See what is the best hand each of these players can create given the community cards and given the 2 cards that each of them was given on their own to use. Okay, so this player here, the 3 and the 6, well, they can't really create anything here, right? They don't have a pair of 3s, they don't have a pair of 6s, they can't create a straight, they can't create a flush, so they don't have anything to work with here, okay, other than a high card. Now, we'll move on to the next player. This player here, player B, has both the 10 and the king. So this player here can create a hand of 2 pairs. Player C can create a hand of 1 pair, the pair of 7s. And this player here can create a hand in which they have a pair of 10s. The 10 they're holding and the 10 from the community cards. Okay, so out of these 4 players, who would win? Okay, B would win because they have 2 pairs, which beats out the pair of 10s, and player C with the pair of 7s, and obviously the player A that only has the high card. Hopefully you found this helpful. Feel free to leave comments below if you have any ideas of other tutorials we can make, or any additions I can make on another video to maybe explain certain poker games. Not I wouldn't say tactics. There's certainly people out there making tons of money in poker that would be better suited to make those types of tutorials. But if you want the basics gameplay of a certain poker game, I can do that, or any other games. This particular hopefully would help with a video poker and understanding the cards and the names that go with the hands that were dealt.